I don't want to set the world on fire.
Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of The Foley of Man. My name is Chris, and with me here today,
Robert.
And today we're going to be looking at Celestial Seasoning's greatest line of teas.
Is that so?
No.
Fallout Equestria Project Horizons by Somber is what we will be reviewing, and particularly this week we will be covering Chapter 16. So if you're reading along at home, make sure to pause the video and make sure that you've read up to Chapter 16. I would think it's really funny if this is your version of Cliff Notes of reading the book, because it'd just be faster to go read the book than to listen to us talk about each chapter for an hour. That being said,
It's not true for all chapters.
here on The Foley of Man, we have the general scheme of things here is that Chris is a brony.
How dare you?
Sorry, a degenerate brony. And I am not a brony. And thus the crux of the show. In this show, we review My Little Pony fan fiction that is crossed with My Little Pony and the video game Fallout. And they come together like this in a wonderful little story that's full of, shooting, violence, friendship, and rape from time to time. As friendships often do. Am I right? Am I right?
You can't spell me without Sodom.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. Okay. We're off on the wrong hoof, as they say. As some would say. As you degenerates would say. I'm not a brony. Let's get into the chapter. I think we've caught up. It's not like we have a lot of new people that show up, but I still feel like we kind of have to do the same general thing at the beginning of every episode. Like, hey, like as if someone's flicking channels and they come across two idiots in front of a green screen and they're like, hey, honey, look, it's two more white guys with an opinion. Let's hear what they have to say.
Womp womp.
So in chapter 16, I feel like we've reached the end of a big portion of this story. Like, this is the first real kind of end Act 1. Yeah. Would you say? Because I know it's a long story. It feels like it
because we kind of got a little bit of a soft push when Blackjack kind of had to get forced out onto her own and she was alone. And we've kind of come back and now we have the gang.
Yeah, the gang's back together, sort of. We're getting to it.
Yeah.
So, synopsis. That's kind of always how we do these things.
So first off, Blackjack wakes up after being knocked out through a memory orb.
Which is that is what we would call a leitmotif in this story. It comes up again and again in this story and other Fallout Equestria stories. In hey man, memory orbs are cool. Don't use them because that's when people are going to take advantage of you. How many times has that been used as a cliffhanger between all the books we've read?
I will say one thing. Hold on. It came up 4 times that I can think of in Fallout Equestria. However, each time was a unique take on it. The first time was the first time that you got introduced to it, was the time when she met the doctor. The second time was when she went into the black memory orb, had a little bit of a fit, and nearly fell down and died on cliff. The third time is when she intelligently used the memory orb on an alicorn and was like, haha, I've got them. And then the fourth time was when the alicorn intelligently used it on her. And they're like, haha, you got me.
Clever girl.
So that was, each of the times it's used in Fallout Equestria is interesting. I feel like this is interesting in its own right, but it's kind of the exact same thing again. Because it's literally leaving a memory orb out in the hopes that Blackjack falls for it. It's not even like a difference in that.
Well, but so you're talking about at the airport.
At the airport, right. And now it's the exact same.
But this time, she was not baited into using it. She just had it, right?
She wasn't baited into using it the other time either.
Yeah,
they were just kind of like, unicorn maybe?
Yeah, but yeah, I would certainly say the first time definitely was bait. This time she was just using it because she's like, I'm going to kill some time. What's the worst that can happen? I locked the doors. Turns out the lock's not nearly as good as you think, because P21 was able to pick it from his butthole screwdriver.
I really feel like...
I know it's not in his butthole. Somebody's going to correct me, but it's like every time he pulls something out from that compartment, Blackjack makes a point of knowing, how does it fit in there? How is it? And it's like, there's no tail that's big enough in the world to hold a grenade, a screwdriver, and a skin mag, right? Okay.
A skin mag?
Yeah, he's got a whole binder. Binders full of skin mags just shoved up the rectum.
Nobody was baby in a binder.
we used to wonder how he was so proficient with that. But now we find out he had a boyfriend at some point. So now we know.
Who aided?
Now we know. No, cock,
Nature's
like
pocket.
Horse, cock, send my asshole into
Okay, that's enough of that. Who
So
even
anyways,
introduced you to that?
I don't know. You?
Did I?
Yeah. If not you, then Adam. So
That's probably Adam. Let's be honest.
yeah. Anyways, so Blackjack, not Little Pip. Blackjack has a bomb collar on her throat. You know, like a slave.
Yeah.
I feel like you're like an Ed McMahon hype man. Yeah, like a slave. Just like a slave. So P21's there with U21 and they're just like lame. It's just like, we got you. And she's like, did you though? Did you though?
Yeah, it's a dead. I think he actually correctly used the term dead pony switch.
Yeah.
But here's the caveat, and it does come up in the book, because if it wasn't in the chapter, obviously you'd have to start asking questions. They're like, look, it was kind of hard doing all this and continuously depressing the flap with hooves, so we kind of had to tape it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, enough about that dead man switch.
Yeah.
Dead pony switch. But furthermore, Blackjack is like, and there's no way that P21 would trust you with that thing. She snatches it from him telekinetically. Yeah. And it's like, so this is clearly a dud switch. And P21 is like, Blackjack, that's the real thing.
Yeah, we just had it taped.
Yeah. So that's funny. But anyways, at no point in this scene, so it's like Somber leaves us with a cliffhanger, like, oh my god, anything could happen. And then he starts off this scene instantly shitting on any suspense that there was. Instantly. By Blackjack being so, like, flippant.
So I have a question for you. If I could. It's a very, very small question. Who shot JR?
Oh, right. Well,
yeah.
That's a far, way back callback. Wow.
It's still new to me.
New to you? It's before you were born.
It's really new.
That's like, so anybody remember this whole Black Plague thing?
Man, you should see it. They got fire and wheels. It's amazing.
I understand that in his mind, probably in writing this, was like, hey, I left you really tense and I want to like ruin the tenseness. But it certainly, there could have been a little bit more malice.
Well, it could have been. I think what it is in all story writing and all kind of creative works, really, even especially in classical music, you have tension and relief. And so this is the relief, but it comes off as disingenuous because it undermines the purpose for having tension.
Well, and Blackjack doesn't take this situation seriously.
That's what I mean. Is that it undermines the purpose of the tension. She suddenly learns the reason that P21 wants her dead completely, but then suddenly just kind of overcomes it.
Yeah. Well, and then they don't have much of a choice, right? She is like, hey, man, we're all going to die sometime. And like, why don't you drink this whiskey with me? And it's like, it's a trick. It's a trap. It's like that scene when Bernard invites the Jehovah's Witnesses in.
What?
Yeah. Jehovah's Witnesses show up to this, bookshop keeper's door, and he's trying to delay doing his taxes. And so when they say, we'd like to talk to you about Jesus, he's like, yes, of course, come in, the Jesus thing. Yes, talk to me, talk to me.
No one's ever told us.
No one's ever done this. No one's ever invited us in. And so that's kind of reminded me of this situation here. But of course, P21, it's also like, P21 is, I fucking hate you. I want to kill you. We're going to go turn you in and start our life anew, whatever. And it's almost like he instantly is like, yeah, I wasn't really in favor of this plan. I don't know what we're doing. And clearly you don't know what we're doing. Right. There's just no malice. The malice is just like gone. And within a page and a half, U21 is like, well, I guess we'll drink with her. I don't trust her, but I guess we'll drink with her. And then she apologizes to him, and he's like, oh, sad face. Oh, you're like a real pony. And, oh, man, I'm actually feeling acknowledged for all this anger that I've been feeling. And then he dies.
Yep.
Yeah. From some ghostly bitches who can phase through walls.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, oh, wow, is this some crazy creature I don't understand? Nope, they're just unicorns casting a spell.
Yep. Twins.
Twins.
Jim and Minnie.
Yeah. Gemini.
Jim and I.
Fucking Zodiac. If only it could be the real Zodiac killer and not these losers.
Yeah.
And their brother, Taurus.
Yeah. Teddy? What?
Yeah, a nice, moderate, late 90s Ford sedan. Honk, honk.
The penultimate Americana family mobile.
So you do realize, like, if this was an actual My Little Pony episode, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like, we're the Gemini twins. I'm Jim, and this is my sister Minnie, and this is our brother Taurus. And it would cut to a car, and it would go honk honk.
It totally.
You know that's what it would be, right?
Horse-drawn carriages and horse-drawn carriages. Hey, come on! It's my turn to ride.
I know, what the hell? It's like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Is this just slavery with more steps?
It's more voluntary than that.
You know what's even more upsetting? Imagine a horse riding a horse like a human.
Spike rides a horse like a horse.
Yeah, but he's like a dragon, and he's the Vern Troyer of that world.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, until he gets big.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like 1,000 years later.
Yeah. 200? Anyway.
D&D lore. He's not even a wormling. I mean, he's literally just like,
Yeah, but compared to ponies?
What would the challenge rating of Spike be? 1/2? I mean, he does have Dragon's Fire. 1?
But it's a special kind of dragon's fire.
Yeah, but still, in D&D, his challenge rating has got to be super low.
Yeah.
I mean, the main 6, let's face it, what the fuck is Applejack going to do? I'm just going to root and toot and malice at him. That's what I'm just going to stare at him and say, I'm going to throw apples at you.
She's just going to...
She could kick.
She's just going to talk countryisms at them constantly.
Which would her fighting type be monk?
Yeah.
Monk.
Yeah.
Big Macintosh is clearly a paladin.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Twilight Sparkle, sorcerer.
Yeah.
Sorcerer, or warlock, like not wizard, right?
No.
Wizard is too mainstream. Wizard would make too much sense.
She has almost the backstory for the wizard, but then she also has the backstory for the warlock via
That's what I'm
Celestia.
saying. Like warlock,
like Celestia is her patron.
Sorcerer or warlock works because then she's got like this dark deity that she owes her soul to. That's where her magic comes from.
Celestia.
Yeah. Well, I said dark deity. Luna.
Yeah, from what we know.
I suppose. Yeah, that's right. I've just gobbling up the Celestian propaganda pieces.
Exactly.
Celestia is the George Bush of that universe, sending everyone to war.
Which
cuts to her reading some book to foals and fillies, and it's like,
read my lips,
ma'am.
No new taxes.
I was talking about the different George Bush, and they're like, ma'am, the Canterlot Towers have been brought down, and she's like, I had no idea. We should probably move away from this subject. Actually,
we're gonna start digging a hole.
Nothing like a 9/11 allegory to spice things up on YouTube. Demonetized. We should do some more 2-part harmonies for that sort of a thing.
Yeah,
be easier if there were more of us. Where was I?
The Barbershop Quartet presents Foley of Man.
Jim, Minnie, and Taurus and all this stuff. So they're just like phasing through walls. They kill U-21. It's very sad. He just gets eaten up, and then Blackjack holds him in his last moments, and it's like, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and she was like, but he was such a good life.
Sure. But anyways, so Jim and Minnie are like, please stop moving. This is taking too long. And they're also like, come on, hurry up. Security's onto us.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll just have to do this. And so they chuck a grenade in.
Yeah.
Right. And they keep phasing in and out of the walls. And Blackjack realizes that their conventional weapons are not doing any damage to these creatures. I would also say this chapter, in many chapters that have had a lot of action, this chapter had a ton of action. And of course, we're going to do
because we have what is that weird Wild West, like 3 gangs rolling into town, fighting each other, and none of them are associated with the heroine exactly. So
this fight scene made me think of the fight scene in the grocery store in Hot Fuzz, right? They're like kind of like popping in and popping out and just chucking shit at each other.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And but anyways, yeah. So U-21 ripping pieces, and P-21 and Blackjack dive under a cast iron tub, to get away from the grenade. Actually, before that happens, Blackjack is trying to think of anything that could harm them and, needs some type of explosive, which she doesn't have. And P-21 pulls one from his rear. And when it goes off, Jim and Minnie, actually freak out and like run away. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, so there is something that can scare them. And it turns out it was a
magical grenade. And it's like, oh, why are they afraid of magical stuff? Maybe it's connected to their powers. But it takes forever for Blackjack to put that 2 and 2 together. And it's like, all I have are these conventional firearms. Maybe I should have learned to use, a blaster rifle at some point. Or laser rifle at some point. Blaster rifle. That'd be fun.
Gym rifle.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the explosion goes off. Jim and Minnie's explosion goes off. And then they're in the tub. And the tub falls through the floor. And it slides out. And it's like, the Flume ride at Disneyland. And so they pop out, of course, unscathed for once. And then, they kind of lose themselves in the building and they're trying to get away. How much of the in-between do we really need to cover? They come across a room.
That is something that we've always had difficulty with, is even though fight scenes can be very involved, very intricate, and very well portrayed, how do you cover it in this medium?
Right.
We don't.
In the synopsis, it's like, go read the book.
Yeah.
Right?
If you want the actual action, go to...
The action is action. It's
and
good.
then Blackjack jumped, and then she jumped again, and then she did a twirl and a flip and fell backwards, and there was anime music going off.
They're moving through the building. They realize that to escape. And to paint a scene here, right? We've got the Zodiac killers on them. We've got Deus and his whole crew on them. We've got the what's the Wild West mercenaries that are coming onto the city as well?
Reapers?
No, not the Reapers. The Reapers are with Deus. It's the other crew.
Oh, Picos.
Picos, thank you. Picos. I couldn't remember Picos for some reason. But you have Picos, and then of course you've got security in the town. Everybody there.
You know what this is reminding me of?
What's that?
The Wild West, the last Wild West scene from The Amazing Race. The original Amazing Race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just everything going off at once.
So there becomes a realization that to get out, the only way to get out is that there are pipes on the roof of the building over Vault 69, and that they can use those pipes to get out of the city, right? But it's their only way, because there's no way to go back down.
Yep.
That is not an option. But they have to find a way to get up to the roof in the first place. And they keep coming across all these different rooms. There's these little vignettes that we come across. There's like a drug den, and it's like, we're going to the moon with Luna. Somebody who's really hopped up. Yeah, somebody who's really hopped up on, moon sugar. And then we also come across a room with some music and a musical instrument. And Blackjack's even like, I don't know, it's a cello or probably a double bass. I can't really tell. Whatever. And she's lamenting about how, like, I want to come back if there's anything left of this building to salvage that, to save it, because that kind of thing doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But they do save the musical files and that sort of thing. This all leads up to a battle on the roof with Jim and Minnie and Taurus. And at that moment, before I realized there's something very pivotal that I don't want to skip before we get to that. There are also Enclave here, because it's a giant clusterfuck, right?
Yeah, and grab the attention of the Overstallions.
And there's a fight between Blackjack and a particular Enclave soldier that she is able to pin to the ground, and is literally like beating and bashing, the face armor,
concrete rebar, and just smashing
as hard as she can. And she's like, "Kill me first. Don't kill the others, like, you asshole, I'm the one who's fighting you," right?
Yeah.
And the whole time she's doing this, the stinger is just like eating her back up, so all the Enclave soldiers have like a scorpion tail. And imagine if only the Enclave in Fallout had scorpion tails.
Yeah, that would look weird because they definitely cross over into furry territory. I mean, they already have like the ear things. And then if you go to the Fallout 2, it's kind of like the bird's beak, but now it has a tail.
There's got to be like a...
Ooh, woo, what's this? Notice this radiation?
Yeah, there's got to be an Enclave video with them in their power armor. Anyways. So Blackjack, bashes the helmet off of this creature. And Morning Glory is like, stop! And she realizes, looking into the eyes of this other pony,
it's an older Morning Glory.
It is. It looks just like Morning Glory. And of course, we at home are like, oh my God, are they related? And it's like, of course they are, because this is a small world. And of course she'd be sent in the detachment to hunt down her sister.
And of course the Pegasi that we have that was once a member of the Enclave also has a sibling, which is in the... Sorry.
Just because it's true. And just because it's been said before. And just because it continues to come up in every chapter of this book.
As long as her father isn't a major figurehead in the military.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
At least she doesn't have daddy issues.
Hey, can I copy your work? Yeah, but just change it up a little bit. Moving on. And
so we do find a way. Let's start with this. We do find a way to take out one of the...
Hey, stop. She's like, you're a filthy traitor. And Morning Glory's like, I'm not a traitor. They lied. They faked my voice. And she's like, I don't believe you. I can't believe you. I won't believe you.
The Enclave would never lie. The Enclave would never turn on one of their own.
I know. The Enclave never kills this many ponies back at home. The Enclave never infects ponies back at home.
The Enclave never throws up at home.
Yeah, right. So anyways, her sister leaves and is like, you're dead to me. I won't kill you, but I'm going to tell them that you're dead. And if I hear anything otherwise, they will come and actually kill you. And it's all emotional. And Morning Glory's like, because her sister's telling her, like, you shouldn't even wear those colors anymore. Morning Glory, like, abandons her, Enclave suit.
Yeah.
So.
You're right. You shouldn't, because they're dicks.
Yeah, they are dicks. Dicks of the sky. Flying
Sky
sex
dicks.
snakes. Yep. So.
Jim.
Dramatic pause. Back on the roof with Jim and Minai and Taurus. Blackjack finally realizes, maybe if I use these magical Jim energy weapons, I might be able to do some damage.
Yeah.
And she actually hits Jim with the magical energy weapon.
And it causes her to phase back into reality.
No. This is different. Let me finish. Jim gets hit first, and she plummets out of the sky. But before she hits the ground, she's able to phase and is fine.
That's what I mean. Is she phases back into reality only for a little while.
Yep. Minai is coming at Blackjack, coming in and out of a wall. And as she comes out of the wall, Blackjack hits her with her magical energy telekinetic bullet. And again, this is a feature that she's like invented, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody knows that this exists. No other pony realizes that she can bore a hole through your head with magical energy.
Yeah.
And she hits Minai in the abdomen. And I'm pretty sure I have the right ones in the right order. I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but I'm pretty sure it's Minai that gets stuck. And what happens is as she's phasing, she gets hit and she loses concentration and she gets stuck in the wall.
Mm-hmm. Just like D&D.
And right. But you got to realize there's now a wall between her and her back half. And her front half.
There isn't a phase through walls power in D&D, is there? If there is, losing concentration would suck.
Sure. So there is is it stone cunning or stone meld with stone? Certainly is a cleric spell that you have access to where you can become one with the rock. But if you fail your concentration check, you just fall out of it.
Yeah.
Right. There's probably some other. There's lots of spells. There's lots of spells in D&D. There's undoubtedly other ways to handle that.
Homebrew.
So, but anyways, she's stuck in the wall and basically is going to die. She has no feeling in her legs, and there's no way for her to use her magic. So
she's become fused with the material there, so her spinal column has just gone. And
of course, the battle just kind of stops. It's like, time out, guys. Jim shows up, and she's like, come on, phase. Come on, phase.
Ghost again.
Ghosty. Go Ghosty. And can't go Ghosty. And then, of course, Deus, as if on cue,
arrives.
Yes, he does arrive. And he's like, what's up, C-words? Tired of you running away from me? Today's the day to die.
Hey, look. Pre-installed glory hole.
Yeah. So.
Which he totally does. Which is like.
Deus is like, so I'm going to kill you. And Taurus is like, well, don't kill my sisters as they're just here on the wall, because he's like about to take shots at them. So Taurus, pulls out his big gun and starts trying to take care of Deus. The only problem is Deus is like a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he blows up the position that Taurus is in. But it is able to buy some time for Blackjack to get up, and she injects basically all the drugs.
All the drugs.
She's like, Morning Glory, I'd be so disappointed. I shouldn't do this, but I am going to do this anyways.
Oh my gosh, it's so terrible.
Yeah. And she, flips out and moves faster than Deus can anticipate. And she gets up directly underneath him. She even is able to somehow fire some armor-piercing rounds at him, and they pierce the armor and do nothing. She's like, it just seems like it's annoying him. That's not actually really doing any damage.
Yep.
But she gelds the motherfucker.
Yep.
She gets up underneath him. And why in all of his... Like, I know this has been a feature of his character from chapter 1. That it's just got his dick hanging out, right? Mm-hmm. Just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
But it's like...
Hanging out with your family.
It'd be so easy to shoot that thing, man. Like...
I feel like it's not the gun you'd be aiming for.
Like, Leo is a sniper, right? So if Leo was like, you know what? Fuck that Reaver. It's like, it's a target.
It is a target.
Apparently, it's a big target. But gelding him is not even fair, because gelding would imply she just cut off his testicles. She literally cut his dick off.
With a shotgun.
Yeah, just cut it off.
High speed lead removal.
And he's like, whoa! And he's upset.
I feel like that was probably a much higher pitch.
And then, we forgot in there. So they were in need of an explosive, and so P-21 finally took the bomb collar off of Blackjack. And this is a moment that we skipped over. Let's roll back. Let's get to it. When they get back together with Morning Glory and P-21, Morning Glory's like, oh, great, P-21, you can take off the bomb collar. And he's like, no, I won't. You can't make me. And Morning Glory's like, oh my God, you're a monster. And it was very dramatic.
It was very dramatic, but it's also very in character for Morning Glory.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. And so, yeah. But anyway, now the bomb collar does have to come off. And of course, he's always like, when he took the collar off, he's like, you just got to live long enough because we still need to talk. It's like, I hate you, but I'm okay with you. But I don't want you to die, but I want you to die. But don't die yet.
I hate you, but I love you. But I hate you, but I love you.
I know. It's like, just fuck and get over it, okay? Come on.
Blackjack.
Yeah. So Jim shows up with the bomb collar because Deus is distracted by his dick being blown off. And,
as one would be.
And Blackjack is like, yeah, regrow that shit. Also, we find out that Rampage, she gets a shotgun blast in the side of the head, and her eyes like go cloudy and milky. And they literally like pop out of her head and new eyes form. And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Are you just like, you got some crazy Hydra backup in your system?
Yeah.
We knew there was more to this character, and it's just like a big stinky onion. We just keep peeling back the layers of weird shit.
Very stinky.
So, obviously, there's a concern with Deus being able to do that. And Jim shows up with the bomb collar, phases through him, bomb collar on his neck, and pulls off the duct tape on the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you might imagine, kaboom boom.
Yeah.
And Deus's head splits open, and all you see is like a stalk of what's left of his spine, the shattered remains of his skull, and like a voice box that's desperately still trying to like, trying to talk, and is trying to focus his cannons on Blackjack. And she's like, that didn't kill you?
Yeah.
But his weapons had been fouled, and so...
Yeah, there's only so much damage you can take.
Kaboom.
Yep.
I should also say he had kicked Blackjack in anger and like pushed her off to the edge of the building, so she was out of the blast radius conveniently.
Are you saying there's a grand conspiracy
to keep Blackjack alive? Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. For everyone who's already read the book, it's like literally, I'm literally the last pony across the finish line in this story.
Welcome.
So. He tries to fire his cannons, which have been fouled. It explodes. It sets off the rest of his ammunition, and there ain't any shit of him left.
Nope.
Nothing.
No.
Just a greasy smear that used to be Deus.
And a whole bunch of metal.
We're going to put a pin in this because we need to get to the end of the chapter because I got a lot of shit to say. So they're able to get out. They're able to get away. They're able to somehow escape. And then they have this quiet moment. And Blackjack and P21 are talking. And she's like, there's so many things. We missed Minai killing herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Minai asks Blackjack to kill her, to end it. She takes a gun, and she can't do it. She whisses out. And so Minai telekinetically takes control of the gun and shoots her own brains out.
Yep.
Okay? Sad. Emotional. And super fucking weird that these characters who in 1 minute are trying to kill you, in the next minute you're trying to save, and then you're sad about their death. I think, obviously, there's some overarching themes of, like, the friendship in the universe and how it's greater than everything that's around us.
It's that I think what it is Somber's trying to lay out this idea of the people you are in combat with right now are only you're in combat with because of the contextual scenario you've been placed in. And if it weren't for that context taken out of it, you'd probably actually enjoy each other's, companionship.
It's very much like the honor of battle.
Yeah.
Very much. So, moving forward, we now have a firearm that Blackjack hands to P21. It's like, here, this is yours. Your decision to make. I deserve whatever you do. I murdered your lover in cold blood, and,
beat you to a pulp.
Yep. And he basically says, like, he asks her a question about, if we were back in the stable, would you sign up for the breeding queue again? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And she said, would you spend all your time fighting and trying to kill those that would continue that form of slavery? She's like, absolutely, 100%. And he's like, okay, I can forgive you for the stable. And she's like, and what about murdering, it wasn't P21, but murdering whichever.
Yeah.
Whichever one was his lover.
Yeah, I think it was actually another U20.
Yeah, something.
It
was somebody
U21.
near the end. That's right. And he's like, I can't. There will always be a part of me that will hate you for that murder, and reminds it for the murder. But he says, here's what you do. Here's someone who was trying to kill you that you then tried to save. You had the guts to save those 40 psychotic foals, to murder them, but to do it as a mercy. You self-sacrifice constantly for the betterment and good of others around you, and you are a good force in the wasteland, and killing you ruined that. And he goes on this other thing. He's like, and because of that, you deserve this. And she's like closing her eyes like, all right, here it comes. You're going to shoot me in the head. And he hugs her.
Yeah.
Because of course he hugs her. Because friendship is magic. And then she cries and he cries and Morning Glory hugs them. And then they fuck. Roll credits. No, they don't fuck. There's no fucking. There's no fucking. But yes, it's very, that's the moment. And it's like, in a way, you could have just ended the story right there. Could have, right? Yeah, if it was a vignette, that's right there.
That would be one hell of a long vignette, but yes.
Sure, but I mean, it could have ended there.
It's a soft. There's a lot of stories that are like
soft
that have soft stops.
Well, like I said, this in my mind is the end of the first act.
Yeah.
Now let's get in to the meat of it. What a waste of a great villain to die so unceremoniously.
I know, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the worst.
This is the shitting grin of someone who knows
more
more
you'll
than
never
I
see
do.
Deus ever again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. However, if you're bringing back Deus at this point, what are we even doing? What are even the rules in this universe? Right? No, I understand.
No.
Like what you're implying is that this isn't the last I'm seeing Deus. Just go ahead and say it.
It's the last you're seeing him in this context.
Last I'm seeing him in this context. That's so cryptic.
It's the only way I can explain it without going into such detail that it would ruin what happens next. And it's not ruining some grand aspect of the larger story and all of the
but
things
you
that are
could have said nothing and just kept it to yourself.
I could have.
You could have.
But I'm a terrible liar.
However, from the writing standpoint, it's designed for us to see that that he is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Not maimed, not hurt, not I'll get you next time, gadget. Dead. Blown into bits.
Which is one of the reasons that it is a soft ending, is because you see pretty much the antagonist, the introduction antagonist of the entire thing that has remained to this point, because Daisy is really the first antagonist of the story, but she was obviously taken care of.
Yes, but, so let's also get something straight. We've had murmurs of other powerful people.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about them.
Yep.
Right? Typically, in a traditional story arc, when you talk about killing the first villain that you thought was the actual villain, we've at least been introduced to the badass motherfucker who's worse than them. And at this point, we haven't.
The Sith?
Yeah. Right? At the time that somebody, that person is... So, like, for instance, right? Darth Maul.
Yeah.
At least in Legends was killed, right? Darth Maul, by that point, we realized... we know that he's working for somebody much more
He's
powerful.
merely an apprentice.
Right? He's just an apprentice.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, he's obviously not the big bad. I guess that's a bad example because from the beginning we know that he's not the big bad.
Yeah.
And one doesn't immediately come to mind, but you know what I mean.
The Darth Vader in the first movie. In the first one, he is presented as the big bad, and then in the second movie, they're like, the Emperor, he's coming here. It's like, of course he's coming here. This is the biggest financial project in the entire Empire. What are you, retarded?
But keep in mind, they don't kill Darth Vader.
No,
they wound his pride.
Yeah,
right. They show him spinning off into space, but not dead.
Yeah.
So, well, it's kind of like, then you've spoiled half of what I wanted to talk about by implying that we somehow deal with Deus again. But then again, if that is the case, then death has no meaning. If characters that are supposed dead can just come back, you've lost the faith of your reader, right?
It depends.
Yeah, I guess we'll just get into it.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster ride.
Structurally, I don't know what's going on here, right?
Yeah, because we're at the end. We've reached a soft ending. It's like, okay, well, what's next? All we have is
obviously we have this file that needs to be decrypted, and there's something much bigger, right? There's something big that everybody wants.
Yep.
And it's always in these books. It's always in these stories. It's some giant death weapon, or it's some giant healing something. It's some giant secret something that was never supposed to be found out. Some pre-war technology, right?
It is actually an archetype of a greater aspect of storytelling when it comes to the hero's journey in epics, where it is some great, powerful MacGuffin. We talked about Star Wars. I mean, that's always revolving around some kind of grand thing. It's a grand scheme. It's a grand plot. It's a grand weapon. It's a grand something.
That was the thing that was so frustrating about episode 7. It's like, oh, you just made another Death Star, except you made it bigger and you made it more powerful.
Worse.
Yeah. It's like it's this one-upsmanship.
Well, it's a weird...
Actually, oh no. Episode 7 is to episode 4. Project Horizons is to Fallen Equestria.
I would call that unfair. And the reason I call it unfair...
It's because we both hate 7.
And
I like Project Horizons.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like Project Horizons has a lot of redeeming qualities. I don't think that any of the Star Wars, Disney, anything has any redeeming anything to it. I really don't. I think the music is so bland that it isn't memorable. I think that the characters are gross stereotypes of what characters should be, and not like I'm talking like Finn is a black stereotype. I'm just talking about like his character archetype is a stereotype of a side character, always yelling after and running after the main character, while not contributing anything aside from maybe a side gag.
And on that note, what a waste of a character.
Absolutely.
His story has there's nothing interesting to it after the first film.
No.
They spoil it by
and
the end of the
they
first
ruined
movie.
it in the first film where they're like, he's kind of introduced as some great, maybe something more powerful to him.
Nope. Nobody's great.
No
one in that story is great except for Rey.
No one's really gone.
That's right. That's kind of the things that bothers me. It's like death has no meaning until you arbitrarily choose that it has meaning. Here's the thing. This whole chapter in this whole book, I don't feel threatened for any of our characters. None.
Yeah.
Zero. None.
Well, I think as well, I think this is intentional. So I believe this is intentional. I think they aren't supposed to be as likable. When it comes to Fallen Equestria, all the characters, aside from Velvet, Aside from Velvet Remedy. I mean,
Velvet Remedy to me is like...
I want to like Velvet Remedy, but God.
Velvet Remedy is who Rarity, like the version of Rarity we all have in our head. Like the selfish, like full of herself, beauty queen. I know that's not actually Rarity, but like that's when you talk to people about the main six. Yeah. That's how they talk about Rarity, right?
Yeah, that's the archetype that she's almost becoming.
When in fact, Rarity sacrificed the most for her sisters. Yeah, that's right. Not selfish. But did Velvet Remedy? Nah, she was too horny to think of anything else.
Jumping on that peg of dirt.
That peg is sus.
Oh no. We've entered the realm of Among Us memes.
I was going to say, I am sure somebody has made a My Little Pony Among Us mod.
If they haven't, what's wrong with
Yo, that peg is sus.
Is the imposter a zebra?
Come to Thundercloud. Get pegged.
Ding. But I think okay. So going back, I think the characters are intentionally supposed to be more abrasive,
right?
To try to foster a greater differentiation between them. If you like them all, and they all actually have blanketly enjoyable personalities, they can't really be combative against each other in a natural, organic way.
Well, let's also see here. Like, so we've lost the wind in our sails, right?
Yeah.
What's the wind in our sails? Deus is chasing me. What's the other wind? The Reavers are chasing me, and the Zodiac are chasing me. Well, thus far, every Zodiac we've come across is dead.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe Leo's alive, but his gun's destroyed, as we find from Jim and Menai.
Who was the young one? I can't remember her name.
Oh, I don't remember her either. But yeah, she's the Mechromancer, right? Yeah. And... or the Mechanist, I should say.
The Mechanist.
Yeah. And every time we come across them, it's like, womp womp, So, yes, there are still people who want that file, but again, until we start the next chapter, it's like...
Well, so we started off talking about tension and relief, right?
Yeah, this is relief.
This is the relief.
But there's relief. But see, that's the thing. There's relief at the beginning of the chapter, and there's relief at the end of the chapter, with the tension being near the last of the second part of the chapter.
Yeah, it probably would have been better to leave the tension at the beginning of the chapter, then the relief at the end
have
would
something
have
that
be more
continues to build. It's
Yeah.
But this story is intensely episodic.
Yeah,
intensely episodic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've talked about this enough. Obviously, there's more to get into, but we'll have to save that for the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any questions that were brought in from the Discord today?
I'll look.
Oh, the coffee's gone.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but then I'd have to leave the room and leave you on camera by yourself.
Coffee's never really gone.
And I don't think any of us want that.
No.
You, unattended, with a camera. I mean, then you could finally start your OnlyFans.
Keep going on about that.
I come back and you're doing like the Buffalo Bill dance.
It's just illiterate scribe with marry, fuck, kill, Deus, Rampage, and the entire Zodiac clan. Marry none of them.
You don't think Rampage would be a little fun to marry? And I would take the entire Zodiac clan to fuck versus Deus. Because then you're getting fucked.
Yeah.
Truly. You're getting pegged.
There is no love. There's no romance.
Yeah,
this
you're getting...
just pure...
That peg is sus.
I mean, the hobby is literally kind of, breaking them apart on it. It's like, wow, that just doesn't seem very...
But then obviously kill Deus. He uses the C word, and that's just foul.
Exactly.
A lot. I mean, he uses it a lot. It's one thing you've got to...
He desensitizes it, really.
Yeah. So, he desensitizes the C word?
Yeah, No, I'm not going to...
Pretty sure having a couple of kids will do that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good question. Good question. I mean, sort of, right?
At least you threw us for a loop.
Yeah. I didn't confer with you about this beforehand. That thing that we do.
Oh, that thing.
That thing that we often wander into aimlessly, haplessly, burgeoning forth into the unknown void, the inky blackness. And upon discovering this emptiness within all of us, we find the flame. And as we fan that little flame, come on, little flame, fan it with me. Fan it with me.
Come on, kids. Come on.
Yep.
Fan the flame.
Yep. Fan the flame.
Fan the flame.
Fan the flame. And it's a roaring fire. And that roaring fire resembles and is a sign for the pony pun of the week.
You keep doing this, I'm going to have to actually somehow manage to resubscribe my Virgin card. It's just... I am not a child entertainer.
Is that something that you opt in and get back? You know,
I don't know, but I'm certain after so many of these, it's going to find a way.
Yeah. So, Chris, what's the pony pun of the week?
It's not a great one, but it is a very special ingredient that you add to clam chowder.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it's one that people often overlook, and it adds some of the most of the flavor, but you can't really eat it. It's the nay leaf.
Nay leaf, the pony pun of the week. I thought for sure you were going to say horseradish of some kind. No, don't put horseradish in your clam chowder. But Chris is a man of great taste and refinement. So I would assume that if anybody would put horseradish in their clam chowder, it would be him. But nay leaf.
I probably wouldn't add horseradish to anything with clams.
There is the pony pun of the week. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Here's to our Patreon supporters. Whoa, there they are. In and out, big and small. There we go. Yes, sir.
That was quick.
To all of you. That's right. It's not the first time you've said that in this room, I'm sure. Only fans. So, for our Patreon supporters, thank you very much. It truly, we've actually saved up enough that we're going to be able to do some more soundproofing in here.
Why would we need to soundproof?
I don't know, Chris. Maybe the terrible reverberation that you're hearing in every single
about?
episode.
The echo is fine.
You know, maybe we could just knock out this wall so that what everybody sees behind us is your bedroom. You can't knock this thing out. It's a load-bearing wall. How's life on the red planet? I want to thank you all.
All I can see is a giant red sign.
I know.
Of a chicken.
Yeah, it's going to be Kenny Rogers' chicken behind us. I want to thank you all for being here. And it's so funny. We'll do a couple episodes in a row. And then it was like the busiest time of my year and vacation and everything. And it just it hit. So hopefully we're back in a more regular schedule here. Obviously, I know, right? It's no promises, right? You know, it's just a matter of put a calendar on your wall, take a dart, close your eyes, pray to Celestia, and fling it, and you might land on the date that we have another episode coming out. So, but the good news,
you might also get your lottery numbers.
You don't pay for our show, so you get it when we give it.
How flippant. Look, guys, the Foley of Man comes out when it comes out. You don't... Okay.
It's time for a very special episode, where we come up, take off the glasses, and it's time we get real. Let's put the character. Let's put the characters aside. What characters?
Where are you?
Wow. Yeah. Thank you very much for the support. If you would like to email us, because that is the thing that some people do, you can do so at CBPBCH@gmail.com. Once again, real quick, CBPBCH@gmail.com. Also, remember, fuck Facebook and fuck Twitter. YouTube's all right, because that's what we're on for the most part. But check out our Discord if you're listening to the audio podcast version of this. Follow the links in the description. And if you are, of course, watching us on YouTube, you can see the Discord link below. You basically got to come in and not be a dick, but it's a lot of fun, and that's the real place to hang out. There are a lot of conversations there. If you are into this fan fiction, the authors sometimes come and hang out with us.
Yeah.
Of their own volition. I don't have to pay them. I don't have to invite them. They just kind of wander in and show up and get harassed for an hour. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to hop
What do you mean by this? 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 Stop.
Poor K-Cat. Poor
It's we're
K-Cat.
K-Cat's going to be here. Don't start asking questions. And the first thing, I'm not going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, but I am going to ask you.
Yeah. By the way, big fan. Secondly, poor K. So... I don't know, foleyman.libsyn.com and other shit like that. And, that's what it is. So, Chris, as we are nearing the end of this dusty trail, what nuggets of value, of knowledge, wisdom that you can pass on to our friends, the viewers at home?
If you double wrap it, it doesn't work as well.
No glove, no love. And on that bombshell, for Chris, I'm Robert. This has been The Foley of Man, and we will see y'all next time.
It's all over, but the cry.
Wondering if I don't want to touch the trash can. I really don't want to touch the trash can, but I feel like that would be like just ideal. Like I feel like I drink way more in an episode than you do.
And also introduce it's got a metal top, right?
Yeah.
And that's ceramic.
Excuse you. That's why I carry one of these around all the time. You put this underneath where your mug goes, and it makes no noise.
Ah.
That's right. That's the $30,000 media education paying for itself there. Don't forget a handkerchief. The best kind is actually
a nose towel.
You know the foam stuff that you put to line like drawers? Well, obviously you wouldn't, but like in a nice house, right?
I know what you're talking about. The ones in the house I grew up in were like adhered, dry rotted to the shell to the
oh
drawers.
yeah,
like they do
Very
after a while if you don't clean ever.